right, hey there, and welcome back. So, as I'm recording this, I would say, I don't know if I'm very pregnant, but I'm pretty pregnant with our sixth baby. Definitely in that third trimester. I'm due in October, and so I really wanted to talk about what it is like to manage multiple businesses while pregnant with baby number six. Okay. And so, just to give some context, our oldest is 10. And so it's ages go 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2. Okay. So the youngest will be about 2.5-ish whenever this new baby is born. All right. And so the reason I want to talk about this is because I sent out an email to my list. And if you're not on my list and you want to be, just reach out to me or subscribe and you can get all these emails. They're not generic things. They're like from my heart. I sent out an email to my list and it was all about routines and how I get things done as a mom who homeschools, who has a lot of kids, who has animals, multiple businesses, things like that, without becoming a psycho, essentially. And I had somebody respond back, like, how do you do that? Because I only have this number of kids and I only have one business and I'm like super stressed and things like that. Okay. So I figured that if she's feeling like this, then others probably are as well. And I am not recording this, and I never ever have the intention of saying any of this stuff so that you can see, or like that you feel like it's bragging or anything like that. I am not. Like, this is all because of God's graces that He has given me. I'm showing you this because whenever you work on expanding your capacity and on healing past wounds, they're capping your capacity. God can do so much with it. And so that's really why I wanted to share this with you, because this is truly not about me. It's all about God and His goodness and His grace that I was able to heal these things and now have the capacity to hold a lot of responsibility, which is a gift. It's really hard sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want any responsibility, like just take it all away. But ultimately I know that God has given it to me for a specific reason. And it's not my job to manage it. It's my job just to do what's in front of me. And it's His job to do whatever He needs to do. Okay. All right. All of that said, every single one of my babies has been born in end of April or May. Literally, we have like April 29th, we have May 9th, we have May 7th, we have May 12th, we have May 14th. So this sixth one is throwing us for a loop. But it's funny though, because all the 5 babies before, we have always had weddings start up right around whenever they are born. Okay, so like with my first, I had her literally 5 days later, we had an event, right? So with all of my kids, it's like I have the baby and then a couple of weeks later we have events. And it always works out, thanks be to God. But it's always really hard because it means that I have to delegate. It means that I have to let go. And it means that I don't get a huge relaxing time postpartum because there's always so much to prep. There's so much to do, things like that. So with this October baby, I'm kind of actually excited about it because it's like I can kind of go into that like winter months, like the fall and winter, and be like cozy. And so not that the timing is my ideal timing, thanks God, because in the 3 weeks around my due date, one of my business, our wedding business, has 3 weddings booked, kind of around the due date. 3 weddings booked. We have some other things going on with the events, and one of them is my sister's wedding. Okay. And I'm the matron of honor, which means that like, there's not a huge chance, but there is a chance that I could be standing on the altar holding like a newborn baby with a bouquet, or I'm 9 months pregnant and baby could be due like within a week or so. Okay. I'm really praying that baby stays until after my sister's wedding so that I can dance and like enjoy that and then have the time afterwards to really snuggle. Cause I love the idea of like that 5-5-5 roller, like 40 days. Not that I always make it that long, but that idea of like resting and being cozy. Okay. All right. So whenever I was really thinking about this, I was thinking about how every single one of my babies, again, has arrived like right next to a wedding, an event, something immovable that has been on the calendar. And literally this has happened 6 times now. Okay. And some of it is, again, immovable because we book out weddings 2.5 years in advance, right? And so it's just the way that our lives are. And so with that in mind too, this always brings me back to patterns. And so I spend in my work coaching, my working life, helping women to read patterns that their body and their life has them repeating. And so I think it's so interesting whenever I apply what I teach to my own life, because I see the pattern, right? And so that's what I want to talk about, is this pattern, not the logistics of maternity leave. Okay. Not at all. There's so many different articles. You can find those online. What I want to talk about is like it's going to change how you see your work, your body, and most importantly, whose it actually all is. Okay. And so again, if you are new here, just a quick background, I run 2 businesses. One of them is a wedding and event business, and we also have horses and we board them. And we've been doing that since 2014. So going on, this is our 13th season. Yeah, 13th season, I think. The other one is Loretto Wellness, this one here that you're listening to. And this is where I really help women walk through healing at the root so that their body can really feel safe to do whatever God has put on their heart. Okay. And so I'm also trained as a traditional birth companion because I believed that, because I love birth. I think it's such an amazing, beautiful experience. And for a time, I felt like God was potentially calling me to be a birth companion, essentially a midwife. But I have a lot of kids and there's just too much going on right now. So I've discerned that God does not want me there right now. Okay. So why am I telling you this? Well, because I understand what it is like to have both women living inside of you at one time. Like, you have the one inside of you where it's like you want to log onto the laptop and answer emails when that baby is like 3 days old. Literally, I remember sitting in the hospital with my baby number 2, answering an email when he was like, I don't even know, probably not even 2 days old. Okay. So you have that side inside of you. It doesn't even have to be a business. It can be anything really, where it's like you just need to get things done. And then you have the one who's like the other side of you that's like aching for like the first 40 days of nothing but rest and warm food and comfort and like skin to skin and everything like that. And so what I really want to do, and both are good and beautiful, but what I want to do today is like show you what's underneath both of them so that you can discern what's actually going on. And even if you aren't pregnant now, or even if you're not in the childbearing years, this is still going to apply to you, because what you probably went through if you did have kids, or if you hope to have kids someday, or even if you are injured or have a time whenever you're on bed rest or whatever, it's going to apply. So I'm speaking specifically about pregnancy right now because like that's my season of life. But even if you're not pregnant or in childbearing years, you can apply this to any area of your life, whether it be you're caregiving for somebody, whether it be, again, you have a major illness, whether you have a knee replacement, whether you like have to do whatever, you have to leave business or whatever. Okay. And so again, I'm not giving you just a checklist. I really want to go through what is actually the real question behind why do you feel like you want that time to rest and to like settle in, but also feel like you need to do all the things at one time, right? Like batch, virtual assistant, like whatever it is that's going on. Okay. And so the question that ultimately you need to answer before, like, as you're listening to this is my business fruitful because I produce or because God provides? This is something, honestly, that I struggle with. I was just on a call with my mentor this morning, and I was talking to her about how one of my businesses, things are so organic and it's like so easy. I don't have to like work hard at it at all. And God just like gives clients. Okay. And then the other business is like sometimes, not all the time, is like sometimes a grind because I feel like I have to manufacture, I have to produce, right? And so the question, because I've seen both sides of these things, like I've had a beautiful, abundant months, then I've had months where it's like I'm doing all the things and nothing is working. The question that really comes up is my business fruitful because I am producing or because God is providing, right? And if that question makes you uncomfortable, like ask why, okay? And so like pregnancy is an amazing time to think about this, or if you're have an illness or anything like that, because this truly is a time whenever you have to allow God to provide. Okay. One of my other mentors, she said that she believes God gave her 7 children because it finally took 7 kids for her to like actually be provided for instead of trying to do it all on her own. And it's so interesting to think about that. Okay. And so, again, just, is your business fruitful, or even your life? Is your life fruitful because you are producing or because God is providing? And I have other episodes all about this and production and things like that and provision. And I'm going to go deeper into them in a new series that I'm going to do all about the masculine and feminine. But just keep asking yourself that question. Am I fruitful because I'm producing or because I'm allowing God to provide? Okay. And so what's so interesting about pregnancy is that whenever you are pregnant and you are in labor, your body is reading the room all the time. Okay. Literally all the time. Because it goes into a more animalistic subconscious level. And so it's always reading the room of who is here? Am I safe? Is this okay? The same thing is true even outside of labor. It's just really heightened in labor. Okay. Because your body literally is just made to continue to ask the question. Your nervous system is just always asking the question, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? If it doesn't get a resounding yes, it's not going to release, because a body that believes that it's in danger is not going to be able to, in the case of pregnancy, open. In the case of just life, is not going to be able to accept provision. Okay. Because it needs to believe that it's safe to receive. And if it doesn't believe that it's safe to receive, it's going to clamp down and wait for whatever the perceived threat, even if it's not an actual threat, the perceived threat to pass. Okay. So the same thing is true again in your business or in your life, where if your business stops producing whenever you stop producing, that means it's being run on cortisol, which means it's being run on your stress. So that usually looks like late nights, adrenaline, the fear of being forgotten. Like if I stop, then like the income will stop. If I stop, then I disappear, whatever's going on underneath of you. Okay. And so you have been trained, your nervous system has been trained that production gets love and that safety is earned. Okay. That's not true at all. Okay. Not at all. The world might tell you that, but it is not true at all. That's a wound talking. And not only is it a wound talking, but it comes from an attachment style that was never fulfilled whenever you were a child. And this is like literal biology, physiology. Okay. And so what happens is that, and I'll get more into this in another episode too. What happens is that whenever you are a child, you essentially have like 6 attachments that you need to walk through in order to properly develop your nervous system as well as maturity. Okay. A lot of people either skip certain levels or they get stuck at a certain level. That allows wounds to be produced. Those wounds then show up in your day-to-day life, in your business, in your physical health. Okay. And so and you feel like a broken record by saying this, but like whenever you are just trying to do the breathing exercises or journaling or time management or habit trackers, whatever you're trying to do, those things, yes, are good and they will help for a little while, but you cannot regulate a nervous system that has a wound that says that like, I am not good. I am not safe. I am not wanted. And again, that goes back to an attachment that you were not given whenever you were a child. This isn't about placing blame or anything like that. It's just a simple matter of fact that we are fallen people in a fallen world. We make mistakes. I'm making mistakes all the time with my kids. I don't like it, but I am. And I just pray that God will be there to give them the grace to accept my apologies and to, I always think of Mary filling in like the cracks with like little beautiful pieces of gold or stained glass or whatever, so that the cracks actually become more beautiful than what was there before. Right. And so I love giving the example of a broken leg or a broken arm. Okay. Because I started using this example whenever I was doing a lot of birth trauma work, because so many women think that time heals all wounds. Okay. And to some extent, like, yes, a wound is going to heal, right? Like if you just think of a physical wound that you have, yes, it's going to heal. What happens though is that if you have a significant wound, especially if it's associated with trauma of some sort or a lack of attachment, what's going to happen is it's going to act like a broken bone. Okay. So you break your leg. You break your leg, and it's not a compound fracture. So it's just a simple fracture. It doesn't come like no bones gushing out of your skin or anything like that. But what is happening is that simple fracture, if you do not set it properly so that the bones are actually realigned, what's going to happen is your body's going to send a bunch of calcium and other minerals in order to help make more bone in that area. Literally, that's how a broken bone works. They're usually strong. Well, they are stronger after you break it versus before, because it has to form like a case around it, essentially. So your broken bone will actually get stronger than it was before, which is good if it is aligned properly, bad if it is misaligned, because that might mean that your leg is like half inch shorter, an inch shorter than the other leg, which then affects your back, which then affects your neck, which then affects your head, right? Versus if you get things properly aligned, then your legs will be the same length again. And again, that wounded area will actually be stronger, okay? And so whenever somebody has these wounds, it's really, really important that they get the help and support that they need before the wound starts scabbing over. Excuse me. Because if not, then infection can set in. And infection, yes, in the biological sense is there, but let's talk about it in the sense of guilt. Let's talk about it in the sense of resentment. Different emotions like that get trapped underneath the surface. And then you're like, I don't understand why I can't release these. It's because they're literally trapped under the surface. And until you go back in and say, with that broken bone, you have to literally re-break it so that you can fix it again properly. That's what has to happen if you have emotional wounds that you have not dealt with. Okay. And so just to paint that picture, healing these wounds in any capacity, in any regard, is not just a nice to have, it is a complete necessity. Because again, it's not just about you. I was having a conversation with another woman where she was like, oh, this relationship or whatever thing that I'm going through doesn't affect other people in my life. And I was like, I'm going to call BS, because it absolutely does. You might not think it does, but what you're experiencing right now is affecting your children, is affecting your other relationships, is affecting your work, because the way that you're showing up in those other relationships. Okay. And so, got a little bit of a tangent. So let me get back to the question of this routines email that I got. She essentially said, like, how do you have 2 businesses and having 6 kids? Like, how are you not drowning, essentially? Or how are you not being a psycho? I forget the exact wording. And again, there's a couple of different lies that I want to address here. The first lie is that you cannot do both. Okay. The first lie says that a mother does not, I don't want to say take care of herself, but does not necessarily use all of her God-given gifts. Okay. And that's not true at all. Okay. The second lie is like the hustle thing, where it's essentially like, you just have to optimize. You have to wake up at 4 a.m. You have to never let anybody see you tired or anything like that. Okay. Both of those are just lies. Because let me tell you what it looks like in my house. What? Yeah, here you go. So point being, literally have a baby right here on my lap, making sure that I'm breaking those 2 lies. All right. And so as an example, I signed a 6-month one-on-one client at the beginning of August. And I told her before she ever paid, like, I would be away for at least one and a half months. Oh, that's so cool. And like, is she okay with that? And she was like, yeah, of course, that's totally fine. Because the right people that are for you, whether it's in business or in life, don't need you to pretend that you're not a mother. Okay. They will trust you. And actually, whenever you're more authentic, that actually makes them think like, oh, she's living the thing that she's teaching, right? Literally right now. Baby's sitting on my lap playing with a toy, okay? And none of this is balance, right? Balance is a myth that has been invented by people trying to sell you a planner or whatever. What I have is not balance, okay? What I have is order, right? God is first. The people that he gave me are second. So that's my family, my primary vocation. The work is third. And that flows from the first two instead of competing with them. So when my order is correct, right? So God first, well, then I guess my husband, then my kids, then work. When that order is correct, what happens is that there's no contradiction, okay? My children get to watch a mom who's doing meaningful work and is not consumed by it. Literally before I did this, we made a charcuterie board for lunch. I had the vet come out and they were playing with the animals while the vet was out, right? And then we did school too, okay? So there's no contradiction in there. They just are part of our life because they're just little humans, right? And so my clients get to watch me as a woman who's regulated enough to receive what God has given me in my life, okay? That's what's possible. Not by me trying to do everything. I don't do everything at all. I literally just texted my husband this morning because my son wants to play t-ball. And I was like, it starts like September 20th and it ends like October 31st or something. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make that happen because I don't want to get him to t-ball whenever you have to get the other kid to jujitsu. So I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. So like we don't do everything. And again, balance is a myth. Adjusting expectations is what you actually need. And making sure that things are rightly ordered. Okay? All right, so keep going off on tangents a little bit. So let's get back to the baby. This baby is not really mine, right? Yes, am doing work making the baby, but like, I'm not actually actively doing anything. Oh, there's an airplane. Airplane. I'm not actually actively doing anything to make the baby grow, okay? So I'm eating and I'm drinking and I'm resting, but it's totally up to God. Again, I was talking with my mentor this morning and she was like, you have no say in what eye color, what gender, when, like anything like that. And yet you're still doing such good work, right? And that's how we have to see our businesses and our lives as well. Because we have, even though it looks like we're doing so much work, we're not actually doing that much work in regards to things, okay? And so what pregnancy has showed me, this one, is that I did not make my business fruitful. Okay. This one. We're trying to find the right bit for the screwdriver kit that he wants. I have not made my business fruitful. Okay. I have not healed anybody. I have not done anything like that, right? This business is not mine. All it is it's entrusted to me. I'm the steward of it and the farmer of the soil or whatever. But again, I can't make it rain. I can't make seeds grow. That's all on God. And so, again, to kind of tie all of this back in, if you're really struggling with right now of like, how do I do all these things? How do I make it all work? The answer, whether you're pregnant or not, is it's not your job to make all the things work. Your job is to do what's right in front of you, to open your hand, and to allow God to do what his job is, which is to take care of things. Okay? And one other thing too, if you are pregnant or taking some time off, is to really remember that like God's not going to just let everything that you've been building just like poof, evaporate because you spent 6 weeks doing the most important thing that you can do, which is care for another human being. Like, that's not the kind of father that he is. He might try to use those 6 weeks to pry, like, your fingers off of something, right? Like, if you're clenching so hard. But he's not the kind of father who's going to say, oh, you took 6 weeks off, therefore your business is forever going to be shut down and you're going to be a failure. Like, no. How ridiculous is that, right? And so this is just an opportunity for greater trust and for greater dependence upon him, okay? And if I struggle with this, I go to Mother Mary. I'm actually reading all the way through Luke right now. And just really getting into the enunciation and the visitation, because it's so hard for me sometimes to think, like, how did Mary just say yes? Like, yeah, just do it. And I just really struggle with that sometimes, especially after I read about Zechariah and how he questioned it, and like how Zechariah's was sinful versus Mary's isn't. And it's just a thing I understand it logically. I just still struggle with it a little bit. Okay. So whenever I do struggle with it, I really try to go back to how Mary did just say yes. And Mary did not treat this pregnancy with Jesus as any sort of interruption to a calling that she had, right? The pregnancy was the calling, and then everything else worked around it. And like, that's how Jesus needs us to be too, right? I mean, even look at how Jesus was born. He was born in like the most inconvenient way possible, right? Like, they were, first off, not truly like married. What? Oh, you found books. Good. Not truly married from a betrothal perspective. They gave birth. What? Oh, cool. They gave birth in like a stable, essentially, and not even in their hometown. Okay. And then they had to flee right after. So it's like Jesus chose not to arrive, and like, that's so cool. Yeah. Turn the page. See what's on the next page. So he chose not to arrive in like the most inconvenient way possible. Okay. Or he chose to arrive in the most inconvenient way possible. And so, what? Yeah, that's so cool. So that's where I've arrived with everything, is that God wastes nothing. Even this time, recording this podcast with a little bit of interruptions, he wastes nothing. Because somebody listening to this is going to hear it and say, that's what this can look like. What? Oh, uh-oh. Did they get hurt? Yeah. Somebody is going to listen to this and say, I didn't know that business could look like that. I didn't know that you could have your kid reading a book, yelling mommy right behind you, and it'd be okay. All right? And so God wastes nothing. Nothing at all. So if you are struggling with this idea of like, how do you do it all? You don't do it all. Okay? All you have to do is the next thing that God put in front of you, and healing those parts of you that believe that you have to do it all. Healing those wounds that taught your nervous system to brace. Healing the wounds that say that like, I'm doing a terrible job. Right? Okay? And that's all that you have to do. And it's not, I know it's so easy for me to say that, but that truly is all that you have to do. Okay? And so if this is you, if you feel like you have to manage everything, or that you have to be the one to fix everything or handle everything, or whatever you're feeling, whether in life or in business, I want you to go back to the root. Like the moment that you decided subconsciously that love and safety had to be produced. Okay? You have to start there. If you need help with figuring out where that is, that's literally what we do inside of my program, so I can help you with that. But if you got it, then like, ask God to walk you through that space. And if it's, God can do whatever, so he can always heal it. Or if he might be like, you need to chat with Brigid. Okay? Whatever is coming up for you, just lean into it. So if that is you, if you're like, I do manage everything, I really struggle with delegation. Like, this is an invitation to just jump on a quick call with me. I'm not going to try to sell you anything if it's not a good fit. And even if it is a good fit, like, it's obviously your decision. It's not my job to get you to do anything, because I am going to be with a newborn soon, enjoying those newborn snuggles, the skin to skin, the nursing, God willing. And I'm so excited, because this is just, it's scary, but it's also an opportunity for God to continue to refine me and to help me, God willing, become a saint, and to help lead my children to sanctification as well. So if you have loved this episode, please share it with a friend. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, message me what your thoughts were. And again, if you're interested in learning more about this, make sure you get on my calls list soon. It is going to close in about a month or so. But right now you can still get the 3 free months of working with me whenever you join my one-on-one, because yes, I'm going to be off for a while in October and half of November, but I'm still going to be giving messaging support to my clients. So again, if you are interested in working with me and you want 3 extra months at no additional charge, time to jump in. All right. So let me know what you thought about this episode. Feel free to message me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time.